I want to say good morning. I hope that you all have an amazing day. Um, it's nice to be able to wake up and enjoy your peace and your quiet. And to, just reflect back on your life, living with a narcissist, living with a person that you've been with 40 something years. And when you look at the person, how that they would take. They never gave, they just took. And stole money, from me, just took, stole money. That's all he did was steal. And would lie and, go to the court and lie and, get people to pretend like they me and lie, all this other stuff, just then getting other people, paying other people to lie with him. And, the sad part about it, um, is all of this here that he was doing, he didn't even have to do. But he's a coward. He's a dumb, stupid coward. A coward. Take your money and spend it on other women. Don't take care of their household. Don't take care of their child. Had a child, my 22-year-old son. Uh, he was too busy taking care of his hoes. It's sad that you have to put this out here. And what was worse about, like I told y'all before, him and my sister um, in a relationship with and other women. She wasn't the only one. Other women, men, transgender. He was on the down low. He's still on the down low. He'll pretend like he like women. He honestly don't like women. But he pretend he don't love nobody. Uh, because he didn't even love his children. He wasn't there for his kids. He would get mad with me, if he narcissist, you reject him. He get mad with me, go out shopping, go take his women or whatever out shopping and stuff like that, like he was hurting me. But, those things was all adding up. And, see, the part of this, it's easy to get people to go along with a lie, but the truth is people don't go along with the truth. But they rather, for some reason or another, because see, this what kind of people they are. They're liars. And you got people that's going to go along with a liar because, they just used to being around liars. And, they still trying to shut up ban my videos. That's why I tell y'all, come in, like them, and share as y'all go along. Because they trying to do whatever they can, get in the computer and get in your phone, to try to stop your video from circulating for people not to know the truth, how they really was, and it's sad when they didn't, like I said, every house we lived in, they never bought down. They would just, they would live with you and, live with you, but then they was out, fooling around with other people as well. But they was a coward, a chicken, a nobody, but they thought they was somebody out there making it look like they were all there. And y'all, and what he would do too, he would get with other people and they would laugh. He would tell them what they doing, and these people would literally laugh. They thought that was funny. But that showed a sign of the people that were with him, the crowd of people, they all was ignorant. Because you don't deliberately cause people to suffer because you angry or you got an attitude or somebody told you some kind of lie and you believed it, so you started abusing your wife. Not just abusing your wife, but your children too, because of a lie. But because, number one, you didn't want to be responsible and you never was responsible. And like I said, going through different things. Like my sister, she knew, but she was laughing too. Not this my sister laughing along with him, because she was getting money too. So she was laughing with him. But you know what? The part what people don't realize is this. Things may look like they're good and you having fun, but then you look back at your lifestyle. You look back at your children, your grandchildren. Some people don't even want to be bothered with you. Some may bother with you just to try not to hurt your feelings. But, you look at your lifestyle and wonder why your life turned out like it is. Because you were evil and you still evil. Everybody that connected him is evil because only evil people do stuff like this here. Who gonna sit back and watch a man abuse his wife and think it's funny, but not realizing what they were doing, abusing the wife, was abusing the child as well. But he didn't care about him, no way. He didn't care about none of his kids, no way. He'll put on, like get with somebody got children, like he the best man, take care of their children. I always hear people talk about these situations, but then to find yourself in that situation, because I never was a person that depended on him. Always was able, to make my own money, have my own money. You know, um, it just, disgusts me when I have to sit down and, think about this, how that he took money, stole money from me and got mad, stole the money, never said nothing about it, but stole money, scam, did all kind of fraud, behind my back, like he was hurting me, to try to set me up, to try to get it where I end up in prison, try to fix it where. But then to think about it, you did all this here, like I was crazy, on working with other people, because see, he know people. And I wasn't aware of this. I wasn't aware of his background. His family knew this man's background. They knew what this man was doing, but nobody said anything. But this is the kind of people, are going behind the railroad track, sleeping with the neighbors, going around sleeping with all the neighbors. Every neighbor, anybody that he could sleep with, that's what he did. But then you want to set up and holler about everything, y'all, everything he was running, telling those people, saying it was me, it was actually him. Can you imagine that when God showed you your sister slept with your husband? It's not devastating because it's stupidity on her part. And stupid. Well, he was already trashed, so I knew she was too. But to sleep with my husband, because she wanted to take my place, which she never could, because I'm not that type of person. I'm not evil. I don't sleep around, and I, never did. Even younger, I didn't sleep around. You know, um, just because I dated somebody, that don't mean I'm a slept with. So I'm just not that person. And then for him to go get advice from other people on how to. The part about it is that our marriage was ordained by God, but He opened the door for the enemy to come in. And then when He opened the door for the enemy to come in, God just let him destroy everything. Because the part about it, all the little money that he was getting, he thought it was real money. He thought it was, he thought it was old gusto, and thought, this is their mindset. These people, they hang around, and even my sister, think about sacrificing me so they can get fame. But then, see, she was so stupid, not realizing if I'm with him, he abusing me. What the hell you think he gonna do to you? You thought you were special. Even the other woman, the transgender. Do they really think he can, just because he giving y'all money, he gonna turn on y'all just like he did me? But the part was this, he would never leave home. But see, everybody thought they were special. None of y'all special, because this nigga is crazy. You can't get rid of him. Once you get him, you can't get rid of him, but he's still gonna hold around on you. So you don't have nothing. That's why I was saying, no, he had to run around like he was taking care of. No, you was not taking care of me. Stop lying. This is stuff he ran around and lied and said that he was taking care of me. I was lazy. I'm stupid. I'm ignorant. Who do that? What man do that? Just because you ran around out here and had children by other people, and then you thought some was yours, wasn't yours. That don't make you no man. That make you ignorant, because you don't even take care of yours. You take care of other men's children, but you don't take care of your own. So the point is this here, is that to me, you're going to suffer more than the what you call yourself causing me to suffer. For other people, let me tell y'all something. I would never say I'm the only one suffering, because he was dating other people. So I know he gonna, make it like he love y'all, and then, he'll see you for a while, then you won't see him. Once you get an attitude with you, he going on about his business, then he gonna come back when he want to come back, because he gonna get mad with the next person. It's like a little roller coaster ride, like a clown show, going from clown to clown, all the clowns in the show. So this is what I'm saying. It's sad when people think they could play with other people's lives, but then so God allow him in my life for a purpose. But he gonna be made an example out of, because the part is this here. He is not a good person. I don't care what nobody say. I lived in the house with him. I don't care what lie he tried to say about me. I know him. I observed him. Just like he called himself observing me, think he knew me. He didn't know me at all. Because see, he didn't know my cutoff game. See, what he didn't know about me, one thing, I didn't tolerate cheating. But because I knew my mission, what I went through with him was to help other people. What I went through with my sister was to help other people. You could be there to help. You know how people say you could take a horse of water, but you can't make him drink. This is the same way with these people. Right around you, and you around them all the time. Or just like you can deal with your family. Oh, well, you could drink, and I won't tell nobody. And my family don't drink, but this is stuff they do. You know, and I don't bother them. What they drink, whatever, smoke, whatever they do, I don't bother them, because that's their business. Don't try to force what you do on me, because that's not me. I don't force myself on y'all. I let y'all do what y'all want to do when y'all around me. That's y'all business, not mine. Just like my sister, up in my face. I knew she was in my face. I knew she was cheating with my husband. But that's what she wanted to do. But the consequence of her action is showing. Running around saying stuff, you make yourself look guilty. Because I'm not around my family all the time. But one thing I do know, I'm not going to lie. Because I don't have no reason to lie. Because I'm not one of these people run up in church and then, living one thing and saying another. I'm not that type of person. What I talk, I live. And, calling people witches, but yet you're a warlock. And my sister's witches. You know, you have, I guess they call them good witches and bad witches. Well, people work to help people, but you don't work and try to hurt people, or work witchcraft, try to kill people, or try to poison people to kill them, or try to cause an accident in their car, sabotage their car so they can have an accident. So how many accidents have people had because of him, or because of these people that he worked with? How many bodies is buried in the yard? How many bodies that was burnt, that was grind up, and the stuff you couldn't grind up, you put it around the yard, or you buried stuff, or you just laid it out, and use that, what they call stuff, lime or whatever, always putting in the yard. Why would you putting all that stuff in the yard to fertilize, stuff in there? I said, we don't need that, but you do it anyway. But see, this to cover the crimes. I guess they thought it was. It's what's in the woods. What's in the woods behind the house? What's in the woods? What's over there in the field? You know, where are the bodies buried? Where are the bodies buried? Where are the bodies buried? Where the woman from 1986 that was gonna tell, and you set her on fire? You grind up with didn't burn. Where the bodies buried? See, what you didn't realize when you came from me, see, that even made my gift better. See, that was my testing ground, dealing with you and my sister, or, y'all corruption, and the other people dealing with, where y'all all came up with this elaborate plan. Y'all thought y'all was, but y'all was partying and laughing on the boat and all this other stuff, like y'all was doing something meeting. But see, that's only temporary. What about eternity? What about judgment? What about the justice on not just my behalf, but other people that's connected to you and all these other people? Even my sister, my family members, his family members, his friends, my so-called well, they not my friends because I never really had any friends, because I knew people was fake. I would treat people right, treat people good because that's me. That's my character. But to realize that a man, you go lay in bed with somebody else and talk about me. And then the woman so stupid or man stupid, well, he was still living with me. But y'all never thought about that, how stupid that sound or that looked. But I want you, girl, my man, or trans, whatever you is, y'all, whatever it is. And then the trans went lying to the trans community. Um, I guess LBGT something, whatever y'all. I don't know those initials because a lot of people when I was coming up, they didn't have all these initials and they liked their life private. They wasn't about all this other stuff y'all be making it about. And and I had friends, because he was a sweetheart and I loved him. He was good to me, He was a sweetheart. My husband, oh, he gay, he gay, he gay. I said, what did you talk about? Because, see, I didn't see him like that. I saw him as a person. I didn't put a label on him. He was a sweetheart. When I say sweetheart, he was loving, he was kind. Because you treat people right. You don't try to hurt other people because you got, childhood wound that you haven't dealt with. You want to run from your past, the stuff that happened to you in your past, but you want to make your wife and children suffer for it, pay for it. The child trafficking, the money laundering, all this stuff, the scamming, the ID fraud, the marriage fraud. You know, People going to jail. Everybody involved is going to jail. One don't die from car accidents. One don't die, the one get mangled up. You still going to jail. You going to go to jail mangled up. You going to go to jail because they're going to have some kind of bed for you in jail. You're not going to be able to do what you want to do. You're going not jail, prison time. 25 years to life. Lots of y'all going to get life in prison. Like I said, some of y'all going to try to commit suicide. You're not going to be able to commit suicide. God's not going to let you. But He going to let you get up in prison and somebody going to beat the hell out of you. See, they're going to see your story and see how you treated your autistic son and the rest of your children, how you treated them, how you raped your children, how you groom your children, how you manipulate your children against your wife, the one that was there for the kids while you was hoeing and lying, and run up in church like you was all Mr. Deacon. Yeah, you was Mr. Dicker, putting it everywhere you could put it. Any kind of hole in the front and the back. See, this is stuff y'all did. Oh, they not. I see. Yes, they are. Oh, they're minister. No, they ain't no minister. I don't play that game. You can't fool me. You think money everything to me? No, money wasn't everything to me. What I want to do is build a foundation. When I say build a foundation, is build a real marriage. Not no darn phony mess where people looking at you and they know they done slept with your husband and all kind of stuff. What are they looking at me for? That's you. You got to pay for that. I don't. See, the point what people don't realize with me, I don't have to pay for my husband cheating. People say, well, why you didn't leave him? Because I was on assignment for God. Now my assignment is over, 100% over. Now the judgment of God is on him and everybody that he dealt with, everybody he slept with. The judgment of God is on them. Like I said, some going to die from cancer. Some of the children going to die from cancer. Some of them going to die from HIV. Some of them going to die from AIDS. And the medicine is not going to help. I don't care how much medicine. It's not going to help. They're going to die. Some going to die slow for death. Some going to die quick. Some going to die in car accidents. Like I said, some going to be in the hospital. They're going to be in pain. Some going to be burned alive. and live and suffer, be burnt all over and suffer, because guess what? Some of them burn people alive. So why not? That's the most, to me, I think that's a good idea, because you tape that girl mouth up. You tape the arms up. You tape the mouth so she in the woods. You tape the mouth so she can holler. You did a lot of crime on Holly Farms Road, 23611 Holly Farm Road, Jetersfield, Virginia. You did a lot of crime. You hid a lot of things. You took things to the landfill, constantly going to the landfill. You keep sacrificing. I told you, leave them animals and stop sacrificing them animals. But you kept on doing it anyway, and then you lied and fuck that. Oh no, you had it. You did it. What they call a Santeria, some whatever y'all call that. You know, your Mexican Spanish friend, no. Or Spanish friends, no. I don't know, I don't practice that stuff. But I heard of it. Because you have to educate yourself, y'all. You can't just run around every day when you know you got a person in your house that's a warlock, and then they dealing with witches. Hey, leave that alone. Look at, they dealing with witches. You have to stay prayed up. You have to stay fast up and prayed up, because you have to be able to stay in a place with God. You have to stay in a place with God, where you can, be able to stand. Not just that, then you got to know that you have a spiritual team that works with you. Now you got natural people work with you too, as well as spiritual. Well, everything can go from the spirit realm to the natural realm. Well, these people think they got away with everything, laughing and partying, on the boat and laying up with each other and all this stuff, with no shame at all. And thought it was funny. But that's to show you that the corruption, their mind and their heart is wicked. They done stole themselves to the devil because they joined those Masons, those different groups. And you sitting around how about, I'd have told them about this group and that. But you was in a group yourself. You was in this mess yourself. But this what I'm saying, to reflect, trying to act like they wasn't doing all this stuff when they were doing it, because they didn't realize I was with the master manipulator. My husband was the massive. That's what he was. But he would cast these illusions over people to make them think everything he said was true when he was a liar. Same thing, my sister, a liar. The people around him were liars. They manipulate the children. See, I saw it before. Then I started seeing my kids. I started seeing them trying to work on my kids when they were younger. I saw them. But I didn't worry about that, because, see, I know what God is very capable of doing. Well, you let people think they doing something. You don't have to get even. I heard people, I do this, I do that, I do this, I do. I just laugh. Because that's not me, that's them. So I don't have to get even. Yeah, she the witch, she the devil. I heard them call, she the devil. And they was the devil. I learned their strategy when they was acting like fools, standing on the pulpit looking like a fool and acting like a fool, like they was preaching something and wasn't preaching nothing, because they didn't have the life behind it. I could see all their stuff, and they didn't know I could see all of it. I could see their stuff, and they didn't know I saw them. Because I was there for a purpose. See, this is how people have problems, because they don't know their purpose, why they're here. But then you see people like, they call it destiny swap or whatever. They want your life. But I live in my life. I present my body a living sacrifice. I don't take my body sleeping around with different people. I don't put drugs in my body. everything I can to do natural. Not out here, dropping it like it hot. That's what they be saying, drop it like it hot. I don't do that stuff. Like I said, my grandkid daughter got married. Guess what? When we went to reception, I danced. I enjoyed myself because that's my granddaughter. That's my first great granddaughter. No, my first granddaughter. So I'm to be determined. My kids, my grandkids and kids stuff when they get married, I'm gonna dance at their reception. I'm gonna celebrate my grandkids or my kids. I'm gonna celebrate with them. I'm gonna celebrate their birthdays. I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna have fun with them. Just like my sister's birthday this year. I went to her birthday party. I got on the floor and I danced. Because I wanted to celebrate my sister. I don't care. Let me tell y'all something. I don't care what my sisters or brothers do. They got to stand before God. I don't have to stand before God for them. I just stand before God for myself. Yeah, do we get along all the time? No, we don't. But I would never do nothing to hurt not now one of my sisters nor my brother. Never do nothing to hurt them. But to cross the law, cross the law. Yes, I would stand in court and testify. Yes, I would make an affidavit saying, yeah, they does. Yes, I would. Because that's my right. I'm about doing things right. I'm about being honest. I'm not going to sit up and say something I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to do that. Because I have to stand before God for myself, y'all. But listen, that's good. I just want to put that out there. Just let people know what I was going through, in this marriage. Um, the scamming and scheming and all the stuff. The fake marriages. You know what? Marry somebody else while they married to you, or they'll divorce you. You don't know you divorced, and they live in the house with you. All this stuff. But that stuff is corruption. Because number one, if they didn't do right with the divorce, they're not really divorced. That was fake too. Everything they did was fake because they didn't follow the law. But see, they had corrupt officials that worked with them, but the corrupt officials gonna be sorry the day they met that person. They're gonna be sorry that they ever had anything to do with him. Or her too. Or the rest of them that call themselves coming together, working against me. Not just against me, but see, I'm the person that God put on the earth to call judgment on them. See, when I call judgment on them, God gonna respond to my voice because God, me and him one. So he gonna respond to my voice and he gonna judge them. They haven't been paying attention, but he was judging them all along. He was judging them different things would transpire. It's like he was trying to get their attention, but they didn't pay no attention. Things happened with their children, they didn't pay any attention. Because they thought they knew everything and they had all this scamming and scheming and all this stuff going like they were doing something. Like they was competing, but they was competing by themselves. Because there's no comparison to, hoeing people to people that live right. You just who you are, a hoe. Doesn't matter male or female, it is what it is. Which it doesn't bother me. That's y'all. What y'all chose to do. But I chose to honor my marriage. But see now, the day the day when I outside our marriage, that broke our spiritual connection, our spiritual covenant that we made with God. That broke that covenant. So everything that he did from that point on, he's judged. When he in the marriage, doing what he's supposed to do as a husband, father, doing what he's supposed to do. I'm not going to say he was always like he is now. He wasn't.